Today, I'm going to show you my 3-part strategy that took me from a guy in my 20s with no property to a guy in my 30s that has now bought over 115 investment properties. This is a 3-part strategy, and I'm going to outline everything that you need to know to get started with $0 down in real estate in 2025. First things first, you have to start with a deal. If you don't watch anything else with this video, just listen to the next sentence I'm going to say. It's all about the deal. There you go. End of lesson. Complete. You can turn it off now and go be rich in real estate. Just kidding. There's a little bit more to it. So the good news is that finding a deal is the only thing that you need to do to be successful. The bad news is it's incredibly difficult and there is competition at every corner in the real estate game. So let's talk about finding that deal. The number one thing that we see across my business and multiple other businesses that are churning out a ton of real estate deals is a massive success right now with SMS text message marketing. Now there's 2 ways to do that. There's one way to do it with a little bit of money, and there's another way to do it with absolutely no money at all. So if you have a little bit of money, what you could do is you could go to REI Reply, where they have vast tutorials about how to use their system, and that will allow you to text message homeowners off of their system. That's a way to do it. It takes a couple weeks to get started and to get validated. However, another way to do it, which is how I did it when we started, which is go to a platform like Upwork.com or go to a virtual assistant service where you can hire someone else who's already gone through the trouble of getting your REI Reply account and just hire them to send some text messages on your behalf. Now, who are you texting, right? That's the big question. Well, you want to save your money by texting the most likely people that are willing to sell real estate, because that's who you want to call, because you want to get the deal. And who are those likely people? Well, there's some general industry metrics that work for a ton of people, and I'm going to give them to you right now. Basically, you want to only text homeowners that have had their house for more than 10 years. You want to text homeowners that do not live in that home as their primary residence, and you want to text homeowners that have a certain amount of equity. It's usually 30% of equity or more. Now, what is this going to do? This is going to get you a list of homeowners that are most likely to transact. So you're not wasting any of your time or money going to people that just bought a house 6 months ago and don't want to sell it. As soon as you institute your text message marketing campaign, then you're going to get responses. And your whole job from now on out is to talk to homeowners. That is your entire career for the next 6 months or until you make enough money where you feel comfortable to expand your business. So it's talking to homeowners over and over and over again. As clever as you want to get, and any way you can feel and find to talk to a homeowner is what you want to do. Another way, if you don't want to spend any money or go into the text message marketing route, is a tried and true method that we have used for years and years and years. I think we found over 50 deals that we purchased, fixed up, and sold with this next strategy, and it's called driving for dollars. Now, this is one of my favorite ones because anyone can do that, and you can walk out of your apartment or out of your house right now, shut the door, and begin that immediately today, which I find really invigorating. What driving for dollars is it basically when you go around a neighborhood, you can walk it, you can ride a bike, you can drive, and note the houses that look like shit. That's exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for houses that have overgrown lawns. You're looking for houses with windows busted out. You're looking for houses that has some sort of shenanigans going on that doesn't look like the rest of the neighborhood. Those are real estate gold. As soon as you find something like that, you know that you're about to have a great day. I want you to take a notebook or your phone, write down the address, and do that 10 times. If you're feeling frisky, you can do it 20 times in a day, but do it at least 10 times on your first day. Write 10 addresses that look like crap in comparison to the rest of the neighborhood. Then I want you to run home to your laptop, put all those addresses into Google, and find out who owns those homes. It's as easy as just a simple Google search. Or if you have a little bit of money to spend as well, like $99, you can go to something called PropStream. Now, PropStream is going to have all that homeowner information and a lot of other stuff that's really good for real estate investors in there. And I believe they do like a 7-day free trial. So once you do that and find these homeowners information, you're going to call them or text them or email them or go to their business or go to their home or carrier pigeon or write them a letter or get their name tattooed on your arm and and send them a picture so they call you back. You want to basically find them wherever they're hiding out so you can have a conversation with them. You want to ask some key questions when you talk to a potential seller. Number one, you want to ask them something very simple. Hey, are you open to an offer on 123 Main Street? And they're either going to say, hey kid, go to hell, and hang up, or they're going to say, actually, you know what? We've been considering an offer on it. What do you have? Why are you calling? And you're going to say, well, I'm Steven, and I saw your house when I was driving around the other day, and I thought maybe they want to sell. I'm a local real estate investor. I would like to maybe get my first rental property, or maybe I want to buy it and flip it. This is where my salespeople in my business start to have some problems during these conversations. They try to keep this very, very, very formal, and they try to talk like a business talking to a homeowner. There's nothing worse than you can do than that. You do not want to approach these people as a professional businessman. You're not a hedge fund. You don't want to be a hedge fund. Hedge funds get more expensive houses when sellers understand that there's money to be thrown around. So you just want to be just what you are, which is just one person that wants to transact on one piece of property. You don't have to pretend that you're bigger than you are. You don't have to pretend that you're more professional than you are. If this is your first time, lead with authenticity and just say, hey, this is my first time. I'm not quite sure. I know for a long time I've wanted to buy a house. This looks like a good house because I want to potentially buy it and put some sweat equity into it and fix it up and be able to sell it one day to have a little bit of money. Most times people will respect you. And if they don't respect that conversation, that's fine. Go find somebody else. This is an abundant world. There's millions of houses in the US, so you'll be able to find one that wants to work with you. As soon as you get past that initial conversation and they do show interest of potentially selling their property, then you're gonna ask some other critical questions. Now, I want you to be very, very careful. This is a huge pro tip. Remember what I just said. You do not want to be too professional on these phone calls. You do not want to have a list and batter them with these questions on a list to make sure that you got all your information. That is what cold callers that get a bad rap do. They go down, they don't listen, they don't interact with the seller, and they just have a checklist of questions, and it just pisses everyone off and just feels very inauthentic. Remember, you're trying to be very authentic in this. There's no reason to lie or white lie or be anything other than upfront about your intentions. So you're gonna ask them some key questions. You're gonna ask them what the house looks like inside, since you probably haven't seen it. You're gonna ask them about all the major structural components. And even if you don't know anything about these structural components, I've flipped over 115 houses by now, and I don't even know how to unclog a drain. So you don't need to know these things, but you just need to know what the state of these main components of a house are. And they are structural issues. So you should ask if there's any flooring or structural issues. You should ask about the roof. How old is it specifically? You should ask about the HVAC system, specifically how old that is. And you should ask who lives in it. So anybody that's going to buy a house, those 4 questions are the main thing. If you can nail down those 4 questions, that's 90% of anything that's going to pop up that's going to give you trouble in a transaction. Roof and HVAC need to be around 15 years or younger. You really kind of want them 10 years or younger. Structural issues across the board, you want none. They are very, very expensive to fix. I'm talking like $20,000 at the minimum up to over $100,000 at the maximum, which can usually kill a deal very easily. And then the last thing, which is just as important as all those other ones, are who lives in there. Now, you're gonna come across a variety of crazy ass situations in real estate. That's actually part of what makes it so fun, because every transaction is something completely different. And what you're gonna find is you're gonna find a homeowner who hasn't been inside for 20 years, where there's mold and raccoons and various other wildlife creatures living in there. You're gonna come across tenants that refuse to leave, and the homeowner has had them in litigation and in court for years and years and years. You're gonna come across a million different scenarios. But a very important one to note is tenancy. So tenants have certain laws and rights in different states depending on where you are. They're more powerful or less powerful. But most of the time, if a tenant has an agreement with the landlord, you're gonna have to honor that landlord-tenant relationship. And hopefully for you, there is none, or it's a month-to-month lease, which means when you go to buy the property, you can ask for the tenants to be out before you close. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get into a contract, at least on your first one, whereas the tenant has legal rights to be there for over a year. That's going to really hinder you from selling your deal or partnering with someone so you don't have to bring any money down on this deal. Now, once you get through all that, then the fun part begins. Then you get to talk about pricing and how much the seller wants for their home. You're going to find a variety of different situations that you're going to encounter in this one too. You're going to find sellers that think their $100,000 home is worth $1 million. I've seen that all the time. You're going to find people that don't care at all. They just want it gone because they own it with their sister and they can't send their sister, so they just want it off their plate. You're going to see people that are going through divorces that don't even want to talk to the other owner of the home. So this is where your work starts to get really interesting and really kind of cut out for you. And so then you want to see the pricing. You're going to ask the seller what price they're generally considering for the home. And if they say, I don't know, you tell me, say, I don't know the home like you do. You know the home better than I do. I've never even seen inside it. I just want to know if we're kind of generally in the same ballpark. And then from there, they're going to give you a price. Now, pricing is a whole video in and of itself in real estate, but we're going to try to keep it simple for this video and we can get into it in a more advanced video concept about this. But once you get the number from the seller, you want to go to Zillow and you want to put in the address of the home that you're considering buying. And you want to see the comps. Now, comps are a very integral part of real estate that a lot of people forget about. You really live and die by comps. So comps are incredibly important. At the same time that they're incredibly important, they're also incredibly hard to get right because it is more of an art than a science. Appraisers figure out your comps, and a different appraiser can come up with wildly different numbers, which is kind of insane because it's very important. So what you're looking for when you Google your address in Zillow is you're looking for the other properties around your address and how much they sold for. Now, what an appraiser is going to look at is they're going to look at the age of the home, the square footage of the home, the bed and the baths of the home, and upgrades. So when you're looking at Zillow, you want to find the house that has sold in the last 6 months to a year. That timeline is very important. And you want to find something that is as close to your house as possible. So let's just say your house was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home that's 1,100 square feet. You want to look at all the things in the neighborhood, in your neighborhood, that has those same square footage and bed and baths and see what they sold for. Now, if your seller wants $100,000 for their house and you find a neighbor's house sold 2 weeks ago for $200,000 that has the same square footage, then you're in luck. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to find that though. You're going to find a little bit more of a complex situation that the neighbor's house from a month ago that sold is 200 square foot more or 100 square foot less. Now, what you're going to do with that is you're going to take the price that the neighborhood's house sold for and divide it by that square footage. So let's just say it's a $100,000 home and it was 1,000 square feet. Then you just divide that out and then you get your price per square foot. Now you want to use that price per square foot with your comp and with your address as well to come up with a number. Now that number has a fancy real estate term to it and it's called ARV, or your after renovation value. So you want to find the highest sold comp in your area to determine your ARV. So as soon as you have your active renovation value and you have your price, and you can see now if this is a good deal or not. So if the seller wants 150 and the highest renovated comp sold for 135, that's no deal. You're out. If the highest comp is 200,000 and you're under contract for 150, then you have a little meat on the bone. You have a little potential equity there. And that's what you're going to use to go find partners in this deal if you want to buy it with $0 down. Now's the fun part. You've done all the work. You've gone out, you drove for dollars, you sent text messages, you've had conversations with some crazy homeowners, and now you are wanting to finally get your paycheck from all of this transaction, all of this chatting, and all this yapping that you've been doing for the last 1 month. What you're gonna do then is you're going to send a contract to the seller that you've been talking to with the terms that y'all have spoken about. So once again, if the seller wants $100,000, you're gonna send them a contract that says Stephen Clark will buy this house from you in 45 days for $100,000. Now that's gonna feel really weird to you if you've never done it before. It's gonna feel very official and it's gonna feel probably pretty scary. So a couple things to think about and remember then is these contracts are mostly to protect the buyer. Now, if in any situation you get under contract and you feel uncomfortable, there's plenty of ways to get out of a contract. And I have sample contracts that I use that you can just drop a comment or write into the email, and I'll give you all the formatting and all the tools that we use in my business and all the documents that we use in my business, so you can just piggyback off of those because they're very helpful. So you're putting the house under contract, the seller signs, you sign, and now what? You have no money, you're Gen Z, you're just getting into real estate, and you have a obligation to buy a house for $100,000 in 45 days. What do you do now? Well, this is where my personal excitement comes from in the business. This is where it gets very fun, and this is where the money is made. You're gonna go and find out how to monetize this deal. And there's two main strategies I would consider using if you're a beginner. The first thing is the day you get this contract signed, you should go to your local city's investment group on Facebook. So if you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, type in Raleigh, North Carolina cash investors or Raleigh, North Carolina real estate investors. And then there's going to be a community of thousands of people in your city that's going to pop up. You can click to join. 9 times out of 10, they're public, but they might ask you to answer a couple of questions before they let you into the group just to make sure you're not going to spam them. And then you are in the presence of millions and millions of dollars of real estate investors, and these people in this group are going to change your life. Take your contract, take your comp, write it up in a little paragraph and say, I have a property for $100,000 that is worth $200,000 and it needs $20,000 of repairs. If you don't know the repair budget yet and you're not comfortable saying that, just say what we've already found in the conversations that you had. I have a house that has a 14-year-old HVAC, new roof that has no structural issues and no tenants, and I want to either buy it, I want to find a partner to buy it with, or I just want to sell my interest in the contract to the highest bidder. Let's go. And what you're gonna get when you post that into Facebook is you're gonna get a ton of calls. And this is where you're gonna really be able to figure out how good your deal is, and you're gonna be able to figure out what your comfort level and what your strategy is. So of all those people that are gonna be calling you, DMing you, or writing on your Facebook post, you have to remember that you are the prize pig in this situation. You are the one that everyone wants, because real estate investors have way more money than they have deals. So if you have a good deal, you're going to be like the most popular kid in high school. So remember that, because when these people are coming to you to try to buy your deal, you get to dictate these terms however you want to. So if you just want a fast, quick check, you can absolutely just sell your deal to one of these investors. You can put a $10,000 price tag on it. You can put a $20,000 price tag on it. You'll determine that based off of your response that you get from these investors. Or this is when you will pick a partner. Now, as all these investors are calling you, they're gonna say, sell me this deal, sell me this deal, sell me this deal. And you're gonna say, well, I would love to sell you this deal, but that's not really what I'm looking to do right now. I'm actually looking to partner. And then remember what I said at the beginning of this video, be as authentic as possible. It really, really works out. It seems scary and it seems that you should be less authentic, but you actually should be more authentic, the most authentic as you wanna be. So here's an example. If a potential buyer is calling you, or if one of the investors are calling you and they said, I want to buy your deal, you should just tell them exactly what you want. Say, I don't have any money to buy this deal, but I want to keep this deal, or I want to flip this deal, or I want to do it as a rental, and I don't want to bring any money to the table. In exchange for me not doing anything here, I will allow you to give me all the money for this deal, and I will split it with you 50-50. This is where you get to be really, really creative. And this is something I personally messed up on when I was just starting out in real estate. I severely undervalued how important a good deal is, and I sold my deals, or I didn't even close on them, or I didn't even try to partner with someone because I just didn't feel like I was valuable enough, or the deal was valuable enough to do it. But just remember, if you have a good deal, you can dictate all the terms. And it might sound crazy to talk to a complete stranger and say, I want $50,000 and I don't want to put in a penny and I want you to do most of the work, but you'll be shocked to know that a ton of people would take that deal and they would co-invest with you. So if you go that route, y'all will come up with your own JV. It's called a JV, which is a contract between you two about how you're going to do business and how the deal is going to flow and who's going to put in what. Y'all both sign the contract and you'll both go to closing. Now, of course, there is a billion things that can make you money in real estate, but there's also a billion things that can wreck your financial health and lose you a ton of money in real estate. So in order to find out how to pull off a strategy of working with a partner and making money, you can watch this video right here. Or if you want to go the other way and just flip your contract and flip your interest in it, and you want to see the full advanced strategy about how to do that successfully, you can watch that video right here.